contest scoring in my pocket. Looking for a good time, here we got it. We got
Hey everyone, this is Jamie with SportsReds.com again. Here with some, head coach Justin Bailey of the Gallia Academy baseball program. I also have Andrew Toler, Adam Stout, and Colton joining us. Kind of a series that we started last week, got Wilson involved, and now we've had some other people call with interest. So we're doing the best we can to get all these kids. It's been stuck in their rooms and their houses for the last couple months, out in the open and, talking about what they've been doing and kind of everything that they've missed. Coach Bailey, obviously Corey Camden's a pretty good friend of mine. I don't say that to a lot of people, being as ornery as Corey is, but he, I talked to him about coming on last week, and he immediately was like, Coach Bailey would love to do this. So I said, I told him, I said, well, set it up, get me his number, and we'll get it done. So Andrew, Adam, Colton, and Coach Bailey, I appreciate the heck out of you guys coming on. Coach Bailey, we'll get right into it, and then we'll get to these guys you brought on with you. Tell us a little bit about where the Gallipolis baseball program is at the moment, kind of what kind of expectations you had coming into the season that we lost, and then also as far as building the program and moving forward.
Right. Well, first off, Jamie, thank you so much for having us on here. It's a pleasure to be with you. And have an opportunity to talk about our program and just kind of hang out for a little bit. Our program right now, it's kind of in an exciting place. You hate it that we've lost, that we lost the season this year and 4 seniors that won't get to, have their chance to compete this year. But as a program, it's kind of, it's almost a little bit mysterious just because, this would have been my second year as the head coach. So there's always a bit of a change in culture. Last year we had 7 seniors that had played a lot. They were good baseball players, and we had a good year. But we lost 7 seniors, and we brought in 11 freshmen this year. So I think we were just starting to get to the point in our season where guys were starting to gel, guys were starting to mesh, guys were starting to figure out a little bit of what type of role they'd have. And not only that, but from the culture standpoint, kids were starting to figure out what the expectation was, what the accountability was. And it was starting to become really fun because when you have such a huge roster turnover, it's almost like you have to go back and, like the old adage says, start day one, hold up and say, this is a baseball. And you almost start from that point. With the year before, we didn't have that. We had a lot of upperclassmen that had played a lot of baseball. So we had a large roster turnover, but with that being said, we do have a talented group of players. And I think we really would have competed this year in the OVC as well with a lot of the good teams in our district. So.
All right. Well, and you saying, I guess we should, you said you had 11 freshmen coming in. Andrew, if I'm not mistaken, Andrew is what class?
Andrew is he'll be our lone senior joining us tonight. He's one of 4 seniors we had this year. And I know Andrew's, he's a great leader. He's been awesome for us for the last few years, and he's definitely a lead by example guy.
And then, Andrew, kind of something for you, being a senior, what, you got any plans, as far as moving forward?
Actually moving forward, I'm go play football and baseball for Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology in Terre Haute, Indiana.
That sounds good. What and tell us a little bit about that college.
It's the college that I felt like best home for me. Like without the sports, that was the place, because it's based around STEM, so mathematics, sciences, that kind of stuff. It's the #1 engineering college in the school. I mean, in the USA. And it's just some place that I went, felt comfortable, and just that's where I wanted to be.
That sounds good. And Coach Bailey, back to you. We got Adam and Colton on here. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about those two guys.
Adam, I'll talk about him first. Adam's definitely kind of a utility, do-it-all guy. He plays outfield. Last year he did a lot of pinch running. He can also catch. He'll do about anything you ask him. He's a catcher. He's an outfielder. He's a competitor. He's a good base runner. He's a junior. He's got a lot of speed. He hits from the right side. He throws right-handed. Great player, great kid. He's definitely one of those guys that he's a program. He does things the right way. He sets the tone, and he's been great.
And then Colton.
Colton, he's a guy that came on last year as a sophomore. He wasn't getting a ton of opportunities early, but when he started getting opportunities halfway through the season, I think his first outing was against Wellston, if I remember right. He came on late, and he was great. And we kept throwing him back up on the mound, and he kept producing. He had some huge conference wins for us. He's a strike thrower. He sits in the mid-70s, low 70s, a good curveball. High strike percentage guy, great kid, great student. By the way, all three of these kids are phenomenal students, as well as baseball players and young men. But Colton's he's a pitcher, and he also is an infielder for us.
All right, Adam, I want to jump to you for a second, and from what Coach Bailey just described, it sounds like you're a kid that, and from talking to Coach Bailey through text the last couple of days, and I think from what I understand, guys like you are very rare and hard to find. With that, and what I'm saying by that is, it sounds like, even as a junior, you were ready to accept your role, do whatever you could do to help your team win. So what I guess what I want to ask you is, tell us a little bit about your thought process with that, because listen, as a coach, I've coached for 24, 25 years at some level. It seems like every year someone rings me into coaching something. And guys like you, coaches absolutely love, but they're hard to find. Just tell me a little bit about your thought process and what your outlook is on the baseball program.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, my thought process is, like, do as much as I can by the book, because I always think back to my freshman year at football. My brother was a senior, and everything was just disciplined and do every little thing right. So, you keep teaching and learning off each other. And then if you do everything right, then it starts to show. It's the little things that really matter. So I always try to, stick to doing the little things right. And then hopefully everyone else also follows in. That's when everyone buys into the program, and you can really do some amazing things.
And it sounds like, from the work that you've put in, and the role you played, that obviously, your role was, that they were expecting a lot more out of you from coaching or talking to Coach Bailey, this season, and obviously in the next season. Once you, get to that point, you always have that, the finish line at the end of the tunnel of, like, working hard and getting positions and whatnot. But as far as, once you get there, what's going to keep you going?
I mean, I've always, gone off of do something today that makes you better tomorrow. So I'm always trying to, do whatever I can today to just always be better, because there's always something you can work towards to better yourself, whether it's academically or, reaching a goal in lifting or, playing a certain position. working away at the depth chart, there's always just something you can find to set a goal and, to work towards. So I just, just set a goal a day to do something, and then I just work towards it each day, just keep working on things.
I will say this, those were actually two pretty tough questions, and you handled it very well. So I appreciate that. But like I said, hey, you are what it sounds like. You're kind of like a diamond in the rough, so to speak, to use a cliche. But then we'll jump into Colton here. Obviously, I know your brother Connor.
Yes.
I wanted to wring his neck a couple times on the basketball floor because he doesn't have no problem burying us by 30 or 40 when he gets going. But but I know your parents as well as Andrew's. I know his dad, and you both come from great families, which Coach Bailey touched on a second ago. So I guess that to start with you is what's kind of your goals, because I'm assuming that just knowing you a little bit, knowing your parents, knowing your brother, that you're going to be one of the leaders next year for Coach Bailey. So I mean, kind of what's your expectations and as far as like helping lead the program in the right direction.
So, I would like to be a leader. I'm just going to keep working hard, make sure I'm doing everything right. And sometimes in practice, we have a little bit of a problem is a lot of us, we like to slack off sometimes. And I can personally say I've done it sometimes. And I think that's something that we can all work on a lot. And in this next season, I'm really going to try a lot harder to not slack off as much and be more of a leader and try to help some of these younger guys out, because I know I've always had people to look up to, and I think it's my time to step up and do that.
Right. And and that's what most kids go through, and some obviously wait till it's too late. Like they I'll use like basketball as an example. Like you'll see guys at the courts 1 year out of school, 2 years out of school that are out working their butts off every day at the courts playing basketball. And if they would have put that much time and effort into it when they were a sophomore or junior, they would obviously had a lot better career. Going back to Coach Bailey and the program, how many seniors did you say you had this year?
We have 4 seniors this year.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about all 4 of them?
I would absolutely love to, which I'm glad you brought me back to because I missed the chance to talk about Andrew. Andrew is a guy, this would have been his 3rd time lettering, and he's another guy that, this year he was probably going to get the opportunity to play a lot on the left side of the infield, third base, shortstop, as well as pitch. He's pitched a lot for us. Sophomore, but going back to his junior year, he threw a lot for us. He's been a guy that he's played in the outfield, he's played in the infield, he's pitched, he's done a ton of stuff. He's regularly a low 80s guy, and when he continues to work at it, because he's extremely hardworking, he's a guy that I think will creep up into the mid-upper 80s and beyond. If he keeps doing what he's doing, I have no doubt about it. So Andrew's been a guy, he's been around for a couple years. He knows the program. He's a guy that, you think about like youth camp, you have no problem with him leading a drill because he's been there. He knows the game. He's played a lot of baseball. He's one of those kids that he does things the right way. He's a fantastic kid. He's a good competitor. He's good at other sports. Obviously he's going as a football player as well. Very well-rounded athlete. And he's a great kid. And the one thing I'll say, Jamie, before I say anything about our other seniors or other players, truly, and I speak on behalf of all of our coaches, we have fantastic kids. We do, seriously. A lot of the problems that I hear other people deal with, for the most part, we don't have a lot of that just because the quality of our kids and our families are very, very high. and I'm fortunate. As I'm listening to these guys talk, it's just so obvious how good of kids they are. So our next senior is Cade Roberts. He's played last couple of years of varsity as a junior, played some a little bit as a sophomore. He's a guy that's played some third base. He was actually probably going to catch some this year. He had several guys, Trent Meadows, who I'll touch on as well, as long as Adam. We're kind of all vying for that spot as we were figuring things out. But Cade's been a guy. He's a senior, very smart kid, good athlete, very, very good football player, good student, played third base for us. He's done some different things, very good kid. The next senior I'll talk about is Evan Rogers. Evan's kind of a little bit more new to baseball. I don't think he played much growing up, but he came to us as a junior. My first year head coach said, hey, I want to try it. I want to play. And Evan's been a guy. He's been a guy as well as Cade and a lot of our other guys that have been around in the weight room in the off season. And they really went from not knowing that much to a couple years later being able to, help the young guys along and be a good leader and be a good weight room guy. And just kind of help hold that line of what we want out of our upperclassmen as far as helping hold kids accountable, as far as being there, as far as backing up and being able to, not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. Evan's a guy that he's a hard worker. He's a great kid. He's also very intelligent like our other seniors. The last one is Trent Meadows. Trent, he's been around the program for a few years. Saw a little bit of time last year, but not a ton. He was working himself into some pretty good opportunities his senior year before it got cut short, which I hate for him. He's a guy could play. He could catch. He could DH. He could play first base, and he's athletic enough. You could stick him in the outfield if you were in a pinch. Swings it from the right side. Pretty good arm, decent arm, and he's one of those other kids like our other seniors. Good grades, good kid. So it's a senior class that I really hate is not going to get a chance to compete this year because they've done a lot of the right things overall, and I was really excited to see what those four were going to get to do this year, as well as a lot of our other kids.
Right. Yeah. And in the conversations that we've had, over the past week, like Coach Stevens said, at the end of it, like looking back on his senior year, and being a couple weeks into practice and it being taken from him, is a struggle. And we talk about a lot of economic things and businesses and whatnot, which obviously are definitely important. That by no means I'm not trying to discredit that, but also the senior class, and not just from a baseball standpoint, but as far as these virtual graduations and everything else that's going on, it's tough for them, very tough for them. So I'm gonna go back to Andrew being the lone senior on here. The question I love to ask, if you had a minute to talk to someone, a junior high kid or an underclassman, knowing everything that you went through in high school, what would your advice be to them?
My advice would be very simple. Always make yourself uncomfortable and do things that you don't think you can do. Because as soon as you start getting comfortable, that's when you start to just veer away. You keep making yourself uncomfortable and keep aiming for things that seem reasonable. Very soon, those are very, very reasonable goals.
Right. That's a good answer. Then, as a collective group from Andrew, from Adam, and from Colton, I know you guys don't have a lot of time with Coach Bailey, but this is usually like the best part for the kids. What's the best story you got on him?
Oh, the best story I have on Coach Bailey. I mean, I think I'm going to go with weight room Coach Bailey because there's nothing better than that. Just the energy that he brings, the time that we have, and just the moments that we get. Because there's always something going on, especially towards the end of the winter lifting. People are starting to hit PRs, and it's just that level of energy is what always brings to the table. It's fantastic.
Adam?
I remember there's a Saturday morning, there's a few Saturday mornings that, we're doing bullpens and, all our pitchers got done, but we still want some batting practice. Coach Bailey got his glove and gets on the mound and starts pitching to us. But I'm still behind the plate catching. He says, I'm not going to go past 75. Throws a 77 mile per hour right down the middle as the slowest pitch of the day. He gets all the way up to like 83 that day, dropping curveballs that we've never seen before, just striking us out one after the other, over and over again.
Wait, he's got to make sure he gets your attention.
Yeah. Like he'd find our weaknesses in batting and just go for them, just to try to make us better at hitting like the curveball going away from us and just the fast pitch. I mean, it was good batting practice. I mean, it was tough.
Right. Colton?
I think one of my favorite memories of Coach Bailey, it has to be in the weight room. And we were doing box jumps. And he started stacking them up as high as you could get them. And we were all making bets. We were like, there's no way you can do this. And he said, all right, if I can't do this, or if I do it, you guys got double abs. And we're like, we're good. We're not going to have any abs because it was either we did double abs or we had none. And he stacked them up, and we were like, there's no way he gets it. Second attempt, he gets up on there and stands up, and we all just kind of get quiet and we get ready for our abs. We all just knew it was over then. And we've learned not to make bets with them. And the freshmen, they always come in and they make bets, and we always lose, and it's always extra conditioning or something.
Well, now as going into next year as upperclassmen, you make sure you keep the freshmen's mouth shut.
Yeah, we did our best this year, but we still had one freshman who still wanted to make a bet, and we lost.
A few bets snuck by.
Back to you, Andrew. You talked about we've talked a little bit about your baseball. What you want to touch a little bit on what you're going to do at college next year as far as football goes.
As far as football goes, I'm going to be going in as a kicker punter for them, and I'm just going to be working my butt off trying to get a spot, because currently right now I'm the only incoming freshman into the special teams out of 45 incoming freshmen.
Right. Coach, we've got about 5 minutes left. And I learned my lesson the other day with Coach Stevens too when I'm getting ready to ask this question. But basically, we're enjoying bringing coaches on, bringing players on, to have some fun conversations. And obviously this time of year, this is a tough one for the baseball players. So I guess. Because I'm going to assume that the other three seniors probably will watch this at some point.
Right.
But if you had a chance to have to give your banquet speech, to the guys that's leaving the program, just basically act like you're taking the mic and go.
Ooh. Oh man. Well, I've talked to those guys and they know how I feel about them, but what I would say to them is this. First off, I tell them I love them and I appreciate them because they are a great group of kids. And I would just try to give them the assurance to know that the nice part about in our program, the most rewarding thing you can do is always for someone else. right? So like if you're wanting to, let's say that you're the goal of being all conference will never, ever, ever be as meaningful as the goal is winning the district or the league with your buddies. And when you're in a program where everything you do matters, right? Like Adam talked about the little things earlier and how they matter. The nice part is, even though our seniors won't get to perform on the field this year, they've laid the groundwork along with the guys last year and the year before that and go down the line. A program is always a combination of the culture of the leaders, period. And even though those seniors didn't get to perform on the field this year, even though they don't get a batting average for their senior year, even though they don't get a chance to compete to be all state or all district or even win the district, what they've done by the few weeks they've had this year and by their junior years, they've had the opportunity to impact everybody else. And even though it sucks they don't get their senior year, the legacy that they'll leave behind will always be a part of this program, always. And when you work hard and when you care about others and, for example, like our seniors, they're, after practice, for example, when you have guys picking up the field and stuff, right?
Right.
Our seniors very little were yelling at freshmen to go do stuff. Our seniors led by example, right? Like Andrew, he took care of the mound. That was his mound. Instead of making guys go do stuff to it, he was the one up there busting his butt after a long 2-hour practice to make the mound look right, or do this. And when you have seniors that have that type of leadership, that stays with the program. The next group of seniors now, they'll want to lead that way. And so even though I hate it for them that they didn't get to compete, I'm proud of them and I love them because what they've left in this program will far surpass any batting average record, even wins for a season. So it's not like they've totally just been unable to leave their mark in the program. And that's something I want them to know. They'll leave a mark on this program, whether the newspaper will post how many wins at the year or not.
Right. That's a very very good take on that, because what a lot of people that as far as like parents and spectators and fans go, most of my memories looking back, when we were successful as a team, like you touched on earlier, but I mean a lot of the stuff came preseason, we was talking about, their stories on you. I mean, they were all, weight room stuff. And, when everyone's not as tense and everyone's like, open up and they're working hard together and having a good time together, that even though, games, 25 games or, however many games you had got canceled, they were still able to participate in all that stuff at the beginning. So we've got about 4 minutes left. Going in, I guess one question I do want to ask is, Colton, did you win the game at Wellston? Your first
Yeah. Yeah, we ended up mercying them, actually.
That was a JV.
Actually, hold on a second. Let me see if I can find a delete button.
Wait, was this JV
game?
Wait, what?
We lost the varsity game. That's
the varsity, the JV. My bad.
It was the game at Wellston.
Yes.
Yeah, I was a Saturday doubleheader.
Saturday.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was there. I was there to watch that. But he did throw that mercy rule thing in quick, didn't he?
Yeah, he was ready. He had that one. That was JV. That was back to his freshman year when I was the JV coach.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
We did
That was a good game.
Win a JV.
We won.
What is it?
So you just jumped right in and said we won.
Hey, Adam, before we get off here, you're the incoming freshmen, the other kids are, going to see this. What's your message to them, to be ready to roll next year?
For freshmen, don't be stupid, but just always work your tails off, because there's nothing better than finishing a workout and realizing how much you really improved from the end of the year since you are just started at the beginning of the winter. Like it's always great to just work really hard and actually see the improvement. To think back and said, I used to be this, and now I'm this.
Yep.
It's
Right.
nothing better than going back to see that.
Right. Well, I want to appreciate you guys. Again, I appreciate, all four of you for coming on. Coach Bailey, I appreciate you, getting these guys together. Hopefully, we've had this thing going a couple weeks, and it's like I said at the beginning, it's going real well right now. So, hopefully, this time next year, we might be talking about tournament games and whatnot, and, maybe I'll get back a hold of you to do some sort of preview show before the season next year. But like I said, again, I appreciate you guys for coming on. Anything I can ever help do, yell at me. Andrew, good luck next year. I'm on your dad's Facebook, so I'm sure, I'll see, how things are going. It sounds like from, talking to you, that you got your head on straight, and I'm sure you'll be successful. So, good luck in everything you do. Adam, Colton, Coach Bailey, good luck next year. And, hopefully I'll get you guys back on here before the season, and we'll have a little better feel on what's going on for 2021.
Thank you so much for having us on. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a good evening, and we'll get this thing saved up and get it posted out there for people to watch.
Go Blue. Thank you.
All right, you guys have a good one.
You too.